strap yourself in for Keeping It Real with Jac Ral.
My mother always said you never ever want to be seen smoking going down a street, and you never ever want to be referred to as being easy.
So did you ignore that advice from your mother?
I was a bit of a smoker in my day, but it was social smoker when I was really young. A few drinks, a few smokes.
Social smoking doesn't give
But
you
I
lung
never walked down the
cancer.
street having a cigarette because her words rang in my ears. But more importantly, I never wanted to be referred to as easy. Not that I knew what that meant, actually. And this episode, welcome back, Keepers, is called Get the Easy Stuff Right. I'm Jack Phillips and you are?
Gabrielle Dolan.
And this is?
Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral.
Who knew?
And I spent the last 30 seconds wondering where you were going with it.
I like keeping you on your toes. Getting the easy stuff right.
Yeah.
Not easy to get the easy stuff
It
right.
is not easy.
And what do we mean when we say easy stuff?
Like common sense. Not very common.
No.
Okay, so this came about because I am a massive fan of Scott Galloway, which I know you are too. I listened to
I reckon
their,
I introduced you to
I
him,
think you did
actually.
introduce me to him. All right. It's like he was my friend
He was
first.
my friend first.
I love their Pivot podcast.
Yes, Ian.
With
Cara
Cara
Swisher. Yeah.
They're very funny together.
awesome.
Anyway, Scott is a lecturer. He's a professor in marketing.
He's also a very successful entrepreneur.
Yes, and he lectures at New York University.
Correct.
And he has a late policy.
Oh,
So if students arrive late to his class, they're not allowed in.
very good.
And he will let them know at the start, this is my late policy. And he talks about that. Is he saying he's trying to teach them like not to come late. And he talks about it's the easy stuff. And he said he used to, in the early part of his career, get the easy stuff wrong. And he said,
I think we all
some
have.
of the examples he said, he goes, and he would say, I'd work my ass off on something and then roll up late to the meeting or roll up underdressed to the meeting.
just the silly
And
things.
he'd go, I'd always say stupid shit just to be funny, you know.
Who does that remind me of?
I don't know. Stop talking about Richard, your husband, that way. He talks about, shower. He refers to young men. He goes, young men don't shower. So, and he also says things like, no one cares about your politics at work.
No.
Don't get in. He also said something about don't talk the first 6 months of your job, but I not disagree with that.
So that's about listening and
It's about
observing
listening.
and
It's about
actually
listening.
learning.
And he
yeah.
talks about be kind and have manners. So
the easy
when I
stuff.
saw he was on a podcast and I saw him, I went, oh, this would be a good podcast episode. So we're going to talk about
I think you're right.
what we think the easy stuff
is. And our keepers might have some other ideas
Yeah.
of what easy stuff,
Yeah.
What else the easy stuff is. But I think there are some basics.
Yeah, there's some basics. And because we'll talk about this, right? You're getting judged.
Yes.
Like people are judging you on this stuff.
and
so-
judging quickly, yes. So how we
Yes.
look, what we say.
very quickly.
It's a quick judgment.
Yeah.
People move on. But even so, it can leave a lasting impression. That's not good.
Yeah. So this is about the easy stuff because there's a lot of hard bloody stuff we've got to do that takes a lot more
Effort.
time and effort and everything. You were saying something, Jack, about choosing your hard.
Choosing your hard. I mean, it's a great line, and it's a bit of a buzz line, isn't it? At the moment, choosing your hard. The point of that is that sometimes we, I think, over analyze or over dramatize things when we actually don't need to.
Yeah.
So choose what you're going to really invest in. Choose what you're going to put your time, effort, and energy into, and make sure it's not everything because it's not going to be sustainable if it is.
And I think that that concept is the hard stuff, whatever that stuff is. It's hard. So choose that wisely.
Yeah,
but we're talking about
The easy stuff.
easy stuff. Like you don't even. This should be no brainers.
Yeah.
This should just be doing it. So
Yeah.
and Scott's concept is like if you get the easy stuff right, you're almost there.
You're
like
advantaged.
Yeah. It's so.
Okay, so what are some of
So
the
let's
the easy
go through
stuff?
I think one of the things is thank people. Literally
Have
thank
gratitude.
people.
I love that. Well, that's good manners, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're thanking people is appreciation and actually creating some culture of appreciation or being known as somebody who's appreciative. That is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So how do you do that more if you're not doing it currently?
Yeah, and I think it's like anything. You've got to work at it, and you start small. It's like a lot of things we say. The more you do it, the more you get better. And
It's very true.
It'll become second nature when you do it eventually.
That is a good point. We get invited out lots to different people's homes, or they invite us out for dinner to restaurants or whatever. I always wake up the next morning and I text.
Yeah.
Or if I'm speaking with them on the phone, I will obviously say it, but I always make a point of that's one of the things I have to do before lunchtime the next day. That's just a service level agreement I have with myself, showing gratitude for being invited out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's little things like,
And it's interesting because I've got a couple of friends
and they never do it.
and they don't do it. And yet they are really good people.
Yes.
And it shits me that they don't do it.
Okay. So,
like they come to my place and I've gone to a huge amount of effort because I'm not a cook. People come to my place to either eat Richard's cooking, and that's barely edible either, or they
Does Richard listen to these podcasts?
Coming to drink our good wine and have fun. But the point is, you remember people that don't thank you.
And I think
effort.
what's noticeable is, like, you're right, you could have like 6 people over for dinner and maybe 2 of them might thank you and the others don't. So I guess what it's saying, that doing the easy stuff right, and even though it's easy, it's not common, but it can set you apart.
Yeah.
So it's just, like someone serves you, thank them. Someone invites you over for dinner, thank them. I always say to people, if I say, hey, Jack, can I catch up with you because I need your advice on something? The following day, not only thanks, but thank you. This is what I took from the conversation.
Yes.
This is what I'm going to do.
Nice.
So it's
I
being
like that, Ral.
very specific
just expanding
with your
on
thanks.
it a little bit more. It's not just a thanks, which anyone can sort of say.
Yeah.
It's actually being quite specific about what they are thanking you for.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a time when we lived in Singapore and we went, had a group of people over for dinner, and I had some help in the house then, so we had a good meal. And what was really interesting was the next day I didn't get a thank you from one of the guests who always had great manners, which surprised me. Anyway, I forgot about it. A couple of days go by. Have a guess what arrives in the post?
Flowers or something.
A handwritten thank you card.
Ah, nice. So the handwritten thank you
And
card.
I've never forgotten that. And I kept that card for a very, very long time. I thought it was very, very special because it was that extra effort, even though it's a simple, easy thing to do.
You know, one of the episodes we did previously around surprise and delight?
Yes.
My accountant listens to this podcast episode. He's a keeper. Hello, Mark and Michael and the team. And after that...
Takes a lot of accountants to look after Ral. You should see what she spends.
I was going to make a comment about dodgy accountants, but they're not.
No.
Anyway, a few weeks later, I received, he sent me a text saying, are you home this morning? And I said, I'm not. But anyway, he said, I need to drop something off. Nice. It was a pot plant with a thank you card, handwritten, because he said, thank you for being a client for, I think it was almost 25 years. Wow. And he said, we like to surprise and delight, and see, I do listen to your podcast.
Oh, that's so lovely. This isn't the pot plant by chance, is it?
No. Although, hey, Mark, if you're watching, you should look at the pot plant because that plant, because that's a money plant. You've been an accountant, see?
Yeah. I think
Anyway,
I think he gets it.
Move on if you have to explain a joke.
All right,
it's not
what
funny.
other things are easy stuff?
Manners.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Manners. Thank you is like thanking people, saying please. I remember teaching the kids all the time. One of the easiest way to impress an adult when you're a kid is when you go to their place for dinner, stand up and start clearing the table.
Preferably after everyone's finished eating.
Everyone's finished. But it was like my mum told us to do that. And it was like, and when they've done it, people just sit back and go,
wow.
Oh my God, wow.
But I think also adults really recognise and appreciate manners in children, because not all adults have manners. So when children have manners, it's like, wow. And that's not difficult to instill from an early age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So manners are really important.
But again, it could be like the easy stuff. Most people don't do it.
No, that's true. So not only manners when it comes to thanking people and saying please, but also like, teaching people how to manage themselves in a public space, particularly children, for example. So, if you cough, put your hand over your mouth. If you sneeze, have a tissue ready, I mean, just
Well, you don't put your hand over your mouth when you cough anymore. You got to do into the...
Right.
Don't you have to do that since COVID? So all the germs go into your elbow, not in your
Right.
hands, and then
And then all your elbow germs go out anyway.
Well, it's hard to get.
There's something
elbow
about
germs.
coughing into your elbow. I'm sorry. There's just something about that. Anyway,
Okay, easy stuff. Not get sidetracked. No, so the manners. Be on time.
Oh,
my
yes.
God.
how hard is it to be on time all of the time?
Well, it is hard to be on time all of the time.
I'm not saying you
but
can't.
I find there's a lot of people that are late all of the time. And you know what this? They're
Disorganised,
being
that
on
seems to me.
time in their head is arriving right on time.
Yeah.
When you go, okay, then they haven't counted for. I've got to park my car. I've
That's
got to do
right.
this.
So they haven't. They're not organised, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Nothing
I do
worse.
have to say, you know, sometimes because Alex is with ADHD, it's very hard because
be on time.
they constantly underestimate how long.
Yeah, which is tough because you are being judged,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Scott Galloway's a great example there. He's
Yeah.
locking them out of the class
Yeah.
so that they learn pretty quickly. I sit on a ASX listed board. That board has a chairman who made it very clear from day one, we will be on time. And if you're not, we will have chats about that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, whoa, I feel like I'm back in school. Nobody has ever been late to that board meeting.
Yeah.
And that was great because previously people were very
Yeah.
slack.
And I see that in corporates all the time where people not only late, but just rock in late
Without
normally
even
with the takeaway latte
apologising.
in their hand, but not apologising. And it's just considered normal.
Rude. The other thing is if you can't be on time because something has happened, and this does happen, message ahead.
Yeah.
And if you can't message ahead, then apologise the
Yes.
moment you arrive.
Yeah.
This is not normal.
I seriously think I would
respectful of your
be,
time.
you know, I'm going to be a couple of minutes late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just text.
Yeah.
We've got all this stuff literally at our fingertips.
Yeah. All right. What
Okay,
else? What
so-
else is an easy stuff?
I think it's carrying on from what Scott said about young men to shower. I think personal hygiene is just
Pretty
sort
important.
of easy.
Pretty important.
Just, you know.
Is that
I remember once I went in and had a meeting and it was in a corporate and there was someone was in there and their hair was so greasy. It was just like, and I couldn't
concentrate?
because
No,
I was
you
thinking,
were just focused.
God, could you just
I worked
have
with
a
an
shower
old
and
boy
wash your
years and
hair?
years and years ago, and he had dreadful halitosis. Do you know what that is?
no, but it sounds like hell.
Bad breath.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
really bad breath. I think a gut issue.
Yeah.
And
it's okay.
nobody wanted to be in the same room with that person.
Right. That reminds
so
me of the Seinfeld episode where oh no, it wasn't the Tic Tacs. It was that's when he was a
Let me stay focused, Ral.
it was
The easy
know the
stuff.
Seinfeld
Staying
episode?
focused. Maybe that's one of the things
when
that
he
we
was
could include.
he used to come up and sneak up on her, so she gave him Tic Tacs so she could hear him.
Didn't
Anyway, had
miss
nothing
that
to
up.
do with bad
No.
breath.
So personal hygiene. So wash. Keep your hair short, neat, maybe not too greasy. Or if
Short?
it's long, no, it doesn't have to be
You
short.
wouldn't look
I've got a
like
nephew
everyone-
with beautiful long hair, and he looks
Everyone, you
fabulous.
want everyone to look like you. You
No,
bloody do a single
that would
white
be
female.
that
going
would
on.
be scary. So thank people, have great manners, be on time, personal hygiene.
you
What
just don't
about
wanna
how you
smell.
dress?
Well, I think it's dressing appropriately.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this. It's not saying you got to dress corporate because you're in corporate, but it's dressing appropriately. And I think if in doubt, especially like something like job interviews,
Yes.
if in doubt, just go, it's better to be overdressed than underdressed.
Underdressed, dress for the job you want. I once worked in a very big corporate, a well-known organisation that our keepers would know if I said, but I won't. And the EA to the senior most leader in that business group that I was in used to wear short skirts and midriff tops, and she was a woman in her 50s. Mm-hmm. And nobody wanted to have the conversation with her about what she wore because it was so inappropriate. Now, it wasn't just inappropriate for the role, it was also very inappropriate for her age.
Well, I was going to say
Tough. but-
regardless of age anyway. I mean, you could be
Well,
20,
that's right.
20 and,
True.
maybe we're old-fashioned, but you shouldn't be showing a midriff at work.
At work.
Unless
No.
your work is a
surf lifesaver, belly dancer.
something. Yeah, ballet dancer.
There we
That's
are.
would be
See?
more than
okay, so
appropriate.
dress appropriate, personal hygiene, be on time, manners, thank people. What else?
Responding to emails. This
Right.
is okay.
A bugbear of yours, isn't it? I can tell.
I could.
Oh, look,
I'm
your heart
holding-
rate.
I'm
I can
I'm
see.
gripping this
Careful,
microphone.
Keehlan. I think she's about to explode.
About to explode. The amount of times that people contact me and request something, and we could even have had a meeting, and they might have asked for a proposal, or can you just send me these through, and then do not respond.
Crickets.
And now I know everyone's busy, and I don't get that. I get that, but it's when you then follow it up, and it's ghosting.
Yeah.
People ghost you.
Yeah.
It's like, and I don't think anyone has any idea how much ghosting, as in
Goes
not
on.
responding to emails, how bad it is for their brand.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very, very true. And we talk about this with, job applications and never hearing back and wondering, or going for an interview and then never hearing back.
Yeah.
There are certain, and I mentioned it before, service level agreements. I have a service level agreement with myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think to be able to respond within a certain time frame is good manners, and it's also professional and it's respectful.
Professional.
It is easy now and again, and maybe not even now and again, to get a bit overwhelmed and busy and forget to respond.
Yes, again.
So if
Clearly.
that's the case and somebody asks you, oh, did you get that? Then one of the first things you should do is potentially apologise.
Yes.
Oh,
It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
That slipped my mind.
Like,
And people get it.
go, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You're a
I
human
thought I'd
being.
sent it. I just found it in my draft,
Sure.
or whatever. That's absolutely okay. But just to not respond. I'll give you an example that's happened to me recently. Someone, and someone I know contacted me and another woman to run a joint workshop. And so we put the workshop in the diary. And it was always, if we don't get enough numbers, he was literally trying to sell it
Yes.
on our behalf, right?
Sure.
So we agreed a price. It was in the diary. We did a little promo video for him to use. And it was always, if we don't get if you don't get the numbers, just
Then
give
let
us let us know, and we won't do it. After we sent all this information to him,
Nothing.
Then about a month before, we went, how's sales going? Nothing. Left it for a while, followed up going, haven't heard from you since we sent you all that stuff. Just checking, is it going ahead? Nothing.
Are you alive?
And then the final one was, we'll assume this is not going ahead.
It's wrong.
But can you please confirm? Because the last thing we wanted to do was take it out of our calendar.
If it was still going
And then he
ahead.
goes, oh, no. To this day,
Still haven't heard back.
has not heard back. This is someone we know,
Yeah.
and someone we were doing a favour for, because we were actually doing it.
I hope they're listening
I
right
hope
now.
they're listening too.
That's awful.
But you know what?
Awful.
It's such a slight on their brand.
Well, it is. It says a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it says a lot.
Yeah.
So you're not going to trust that person to
Oh,
work
it
with them
would-
ever
no,
again, no matter how much they grovel or apologise or suggest they pay you. So service level agreements, respond to people, respond to emails, respond to phone calls, respond to texts,
especially if you've asked for something.
and especially if you've requested something. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, like you put time and effort into giving the person what they wanted,
Do the right
and
thing.
then get nothing back.
Yep. And related to that is apologising, right?
Yeah.
That's an easy thing
Yeah.
to learn, to get into a habit of, to say sorry.
Yeah.
It's not hard to say sorry. So
And can I just say to any clients that are listening, sometimes they're not getting back to you because they're not going ahead because of budget or
yeah,
whatever.
sure. That's
Totally fine.
we get it.
Whatever.
That's life.
Just come back and go,
That's
sorry,
life.
out of our
I'm-
budget, or things changed.
happens with me.
Happens all the time.
Happens with me.
all the time.
And
Totally okay.
I've got one client who was introduced to me by someone who was so excited to introduce them to me, and this person has their own business and really could do with some coaching, and I got excited about the opportunity, sent them a proposal, added them then to my client database list so they get my thought leadership, so they can get a bit of a sense of me and what I share every Sunday night, which is something that's an additional part of the package, and got nothing. I do forget about some people because I'm so busy,
Yeah.
And then after a while, I thought, oh, it's funny I haven't heard from that person because they were so keen, and the person referring us was so keen. And so I followed up saying, look, maybe now's not the right time or you've changed your mind, but just let me know either way. Came back, I'm so overwhelmed, I've got so much on, but I'll be back in touch soon. Never heard back.
Yeah.
So clearly not the right time too expensive, whatever it was, just say.
Yeah. But
no one's going to be offended.
No. But at least if they say, look, it's not the right time or whatever,
I'll come back to you.
I'll come back
No
to you when it's the
problem.
right time.
No
if you don't
problem.
come back, that's totally fine.
That is absolutely right.
But it's
Don't keep it just as nothing and hanging.
I will step off my little
Step
soapbox
away from the soapbox.
and breathe and just try to be understanding.
Okay, I'm going to summarise while you keep breathing. Somebody get the paper bag. The easy stuff. Choose your hard, but the easy stuff we're talking about is thanking people. It's about your manners. It's about turning up on time. It's about personal hygiene and dressing appropriately. It's responding to others, to emails, to texts. It's apologising when you need to. Those are the things I think that we should all be doing on a regular basis and being very, very mindful of.
Yeah.
Have we forgotten anything, Keehlan?
Keelan's
He wasn't ready for that, was
Keelan's
he?
looking at it, go, don't expect me to be a bloody...
Dressed appropriately. I did mention
we
that.
did talk about that.
Yes.
We have talked about making eye contact or handshaking.
Well, we didn't. Body language, that's a very good one. We actually didn't mention that. And so that isn't difficult to do if you are conscious of it. So looking people in the eye.
Yeah.
When you greet somebody, shaking their hand.
Yeah.
Not too aggressively. Don't do the wet fish.
Don't do the super alpha male. My husband, Steve, asked me, he goes, I've always, what's the appropriate as a male in corporate when you meet a female? What do you do? And I was like, well.
Pash them? Oops, sorry, Steve. No, wrong advice.
Don't go in for the hug or kiss because
Not if you don't know them, no.
But what I also said, I go, you shake people's hands because that's
It's a lovely
expected. And I go,
equaliser.
what you don't do, especially if you're meeting some males and some females, and I see this happen with males, they shake the males' hands but don't shake the females' hands. And I know it's a
is
board of like, what do I do,
that?
what do I do? It's a professional environment. Just
Is that
treat
somebody
everyone
who
equal.
doesn't perhaps understand equality? Was the
No,
first thing I would have thought. That's what I'd be judging.
I could be, but I think
Just
I
uncertain.
think sometimes
Just
you know,
don't know.
and maybe it's like because Steve has said is like you sort of feel like you don't know what gets nervous. Like what's the right thing to do? Wants
to do the right thing.
Okay, well as long as you don't
Shake
go
hands.
in and kiss them.
Shaking hands is good.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it, easy.
That's the easy stuff.
Okay, well, keepers,
Get it
this
right.
is get it right. Get it right or go
Get out
home.
Another episode, done and dusted.
As usual, give us a 5-star rating if you like it. Share it with anyone that you think may.
So somebody who's not thanking people,
Yeah.
who doesn't have manners, who's not on time, who's not
maybe
dressing appropriately, who has bad personal hygiene, who doesn't respond, and who doesn't apologise. Just send them this.
Just say,
episode.
thought you may like this one, and you can
Hint,
guess
hint.
why I sent it to you. I don't do that. Okay, another week. We will see you next week, which will be our final episode of the year.
I can't believe this.
Oh my
year's
God,
already
can you
gone.
believe this? Can you believe it?
Amazing.
Next week will be our final episode of the year.
And will that be 49?
It'll be our 49th episode. So
OMG.
I know.
Almost our age. Keeping it real.
Keeping it
with
real.
Jac Ral.
See you next week, keepers.
Bye.
You've been listening to another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to tell others about it and give a 5-star review. They may seem confident, but they really are sensitive 5-star needy souls. Yeah, right. Keeping It Real, created by Jack Phillips and Gabriel Dolan. Produced by Keehlan Ferrari-Brown. And this really real voiceover, spoken by Richard Phillips.